Good morning. Glad you guys could all come to this session today. This session or this workshop is going to be about creating SMART goals and how you can use those in your volunteer work for the University of Chicago. Okay? And I do have some handouts that we're going to pass out. These are just copies of key slides. It's not every slide, but these at least you have a takeaway with for you. And then also I have this yellow sheet. This presentation is not on the thumb drive that you guys got, so if you want to sign up to have that sent to you, just put your name and email on this yellow sheet that's going to go floating around. If I can ask you to start that for me. Bridget, can I ask you to get those out for us? Thanks so much. Okay. All right. So in terms of introductions, my name is Sue Marines, and I recognize many faces. I was part of the personality assessment class that you just went through, or workshop. And I bowed out a little bit early to come get set up here, but it looks like everybody was really having a good time there. Is that true? Yeah. All right, definitely. And did it provide you with helpful information? I mean, how you think that you can use some of that information and probably use it to build your team, I'm guessing, right? Okay. So for anybody that wasn't in there, I know we did little introductions then, but my name is Sue Marines, and I'm part of the Human Resource Services. So I'm here for I work for the university and the staff side. I work under finance and administration. I'm a human resource manager, and I provide support to different units or divisions across campus, including alumni relations and development. And part of what I do is a certain component of my job is doing training and organizational development work. I've done this session as a 3-hour workshop for some of the folks in alumni relations and development, so some of the staff that are running this event today. And what they asked me to do is if I could condense it and make it into something shorter where we could have the key elements, and then so that we can start a dialogue with the volunteers today to find out really about how we can start using SMART goals in our work as volunteers, okay? So it is scaled back, but we're going to go through the basics. Has anyone ever gone through, does anyone know what SMART goals are? Has anyone ever gone through that type of training? Okay, so some do. It stands for an acronym, and we'll go into what that means, okay? But let me go ahead and get us started here, and we'll go through the agenda quickly. We're going through the welcoming and introductions now. We're going to talk about cascading goals. We're going to learn what that means. SMART goals. We're going to talk about metrics. And Damon actually talked a little bit about metrics and measurement this morning as we're looking at the bar graphs for different things. And then we have a couple exercises, and we're going to do some wrap up at the end. Now this session is very interactive. Really what I'm going to do is kind of teach you about 3 key areas of goal setting: SMART goals, metrics, and cascading goals. And then we're really going to have dialogue about how you can use that in your role. So I'll hope that you all will kind of jump in, share your experiences, and then also not just share your experiences, but talk about how you can see some of this applying to your work, okay? So I'll be asking questions along the way, but please feel free to kind of interject in comments and things like that, okay? Before we get started into the content, talking about cascading goals, we actually have a little game that we're going to play. And it's called the TRASH game, T-R-A-S-H. And TRASH, the T-R-A-S-H stand for Targeted Response Assessment for Supporting Humans, so TRASH game. And what this game does is it really, it talks about it helps to teach some of the key elements of goal setting, about what works and what doesn't, okay? And so we'll go through different sessions, different parts of this exercise, and at the end of each of those steps, we'll kind of draw out what some of the conclusions are, okay? So right now, we actually just had one of those steps, and 30 seconds just elapsed, and you have this here, and you were supposed to be shooting it in the basket, okay? You blew it. You had 30 seconds. So I wondered, what do I have to explain everything to you? How many times do I have to tell you that's your goal? You should have known. That was my expectation. I had the wastebasket right there. You had the trash. What happened? Not sure, right? So how does it make you feel? You didn't. I had a goal in my mind. Did you know what that goal was? No. How did that make you feel? Confused. Okay, good. Confused is a good reaction. What other reactions?
That I should have known something, or
okay.
Maybe I interpreted something wrong. So it's I'm internalizing it, like I should have known better.
That you should have known better. Okay, all right, very good. Okay. So has anyone ever been in maybe in their work or in a volunteer role where somebody was expecting something of you and it wasn't clear? You didn't really know that, and then maybe you had kind of a disconnect? Has anyone ever seen that or experienced that? Does anyone want to talk about what one of those experiences was? Maybe from a workplace experience? No? Okay. Well, what I've seen in the workplace is if you don't have set goals, I mean, the goal is kind of giving you the direction, right? It's telling you what direction to go. And if you don't have that, different people think different things, right? Okay. So we're going to do another version of the goal, and I am going to, let's see. Liz, I'm going to put you to work here. You're on the end. I'm going to put this nice and close to you. Is this nice? Is this close enough?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I need a helper. I'm going to ask this gentleman, can you be a helper over here? Okay. All right. So what you're going to do is she has 30 seconds to put those into the trash can. I just want to make sure you're going to crumple them up, okay, and hand them to her. So you're a helper. And Liz here is going to shoot some hoops. Is that easy enough? Is that good? Okay. All right. So he's got, I don't know, 6, 7 pieces of paper. He's going to crumple them up. You have 30 seconds, so I hope you can do it, okay? Ready, go. Oh, good job. Oh, fine. Lovely. 30 seconds. Oh, my gosh. And she just has to turn and, oh, wow. She's good, isn't she? And, oh, there we go. Okay. And you did that in like 10 seconds or something, okay? So what did you think? Isn't she a fine hoops player? She used to play basketball. Now, couldn't you tell just the way she turned and put that in? Turn. And she had the move down. So how did that make you feel? Like, what was that goal? Was it, you know, how did you feel? It was achievable. Was it a stretch? Was it hard? No. What was it? It was easy. Okay. All right. And how did you, you know, so you had an easy goal. How did that make you feel? Good. Good? Like I can do this?
Yeah, I can do this.
Did it drive you to do more? Did it, challenge you at all?
No.
No. Okay, no challenges whatsoever then. It was pretty easy, right? A pretty good gig. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, so what do we think about easy goals? If your volunteers had like just super easy goals where it was a slam dunk and they could do that so easy, what kind of an impact would that have on them? Pardon me?
They said they feel good, but that's also all you get.
Okay, they feel good, but then, yeah, they're only going to achieve what, this little baby step, right? What else? Bored. Right. You ever see that in the workplace where you have somebody who's really probably more capable than their role involves, and then you're concerned they're going to get bored, and a lot of times they do. And it's hard to retain people when they're bored, isn't it? Okay. All right. What else about easy goals? You have a super easy goal. Any other comments? No? Okay, let's go on to our next trash round. Oh, sorry, Bridget.
You put it off a little bit if it's easy to attain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll do that later, right? Oh, that's easy, right? And then if you run into a snafu, something happens, then all of a sudden you can't get to it. But that's a procrastination thing. Okay. All right. Any other comments on easy goals? Yes? Right, they're in their little comfort zone, right? They're not going to stretch and try to do new or creative things, right? That's not going to happen. Although you did a fine job on that, Liz. Okay. Let's see, I'll come on up here. Can I have you go next? How are you on hoops? Good? All right, that's your stack. You're not going to get a helper, but I'm going to explain your role here. Give me just a second. I need to get something here. All right. All right, so your performance requirement is to place these recyclable cellulose spheroids of deformed fractal planes inside a hollow truncated calendar or container. Launch the spheroid projectile in a parabolic arc whose focus is precisely 125 centimeters above the top surface of your cranium. Take into consideration wind velocity, okay? Inertial mass of the projectile and acceleration due to gravity at 981 centimeters per second squared. Okay? All right? How's this all making you feel? You're okay? You're good? You got it all? Okay, you're actually not going to get to shoot, but you can shoot one just for fun. There we go. All right. So, a fine job. Okay, so how did that make you feel? I gave you what kind of a goal? Precise. Okay, right, it was incomprehensible. It was designed to be incomprehensible. There was a lot of information. Designed to be, exactly, right, okay? So what happens if you were handing out goals that were like that, where there was all this verbiage and all this detail and you're kind of all over, maybe providing too much information? What happens then? Confusion? Oh. Okay, unachievable. It's hard to decipher what, like where do you focus in on all that? Okay, what else?
Spending more time on the instructions than actual action.
That's true. It took a long time to get through all that stuff. Yes?
Was the ultimate goal getting it into the basket, or was it having a precise 120 yard?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, were there going to be points off for process, or were we celebrating?
Okay. Okay, so there's just not clarity, is there, on what somebody really wants and what's really important, I think, out of all that, because really something has to be a priority or the dominant factor, right? Okay. All right. All right. Next, let's see. Okay. I'm going to come over on the other side of the room. I don't want to just pick on this side. All righty. I'm coming right over to you. And you're going to have some helpers. Oops, here you go. Okay. And you're going to be a helper here. Okay. And this is your instructions here. There you go. You're crumbling. Okay, your instructions are simply to get the paper into the basket, okay? And you've got 30 seconds. He's going to crumple and hand them to you, okay? Go ahead. Ready, go. Oh. You're supposed to get them in the garbage. Okay, time's up. This group, I don't know about this group. Okay, well, you know what? I gave you very general directions. He's going to pass them and you get them in the garbage, right? Okay, and were you clear on those instructions? Did you feel like anything was missing? No? Okay. Did anyone else feel like anything was missing out of his instructions? No. How about the fact that he had colored paper in there? Everybody else had had just white paper. Anyone notice that? Yeah, okay. Now, what I didn't tell you in the instructions, your goal, there was pieces of it that weren't there. If you put any of the colored paper in, then everything else was negated. So you really got 0 points. I'm sorry, okay? But, it's an important part, but I didn't give you that part in your goal, okay? So I'm sorry. Great job. Very innovative, taking the garbage over there, right, to whatever. But you don't have any points. Okay, so how does that make you feel? Pardon me? It was all for naught, right? All that work and he didn't know. Why didn't you tell me, right? Okay. So what would that do? If you're an employee or you're a volunteer and someone doesn't give you a key component of your goal, how does that make you feel and what impact does that have on you? Disengaging. Very good. What else? Yes? Okay, yep, that's very good as well. Any other comments?
Wasted my time. What's the point?
What's the point? Right, exactly. I'm not going to do this again. And for a volunteer, that doesn't really have to be there. I mean, it's not like their job where they need to go every day, right? So you don't want that to happen with your volunteers. Okay. So we've got the grand finale of the trash game. Okay. Grand finale here. And we're going to actually go in the back here, and let's see. Does anyone shoot any hoops? Weekends, anything like that? Anyone play basketball in school? Anyone? Oh, come on. No one wants to volunteer. All right. What is your name? Okay, you're my guy. You need 2 helpers. I need 2 helpers. We got to go up here because I need a flat space with this room. Can I have you 2 ladies here in the end? Can you be helpers? Okay. Let's see. You're going to go over there. Okay? All right. And I need someone to stand over by him and someone to be by the trash can. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is, you're going to have these. Okay. So are you right-handed or left-handed? You're right-handed. Okay, you're shooting left-handed today. Okay. Is that all right with you? Okay, good. So you're shooting left-handed, and this is your crumpler. So she's going to hand the paper to you, and you're going to try to get it in this can. Now this is what, 10, 15, don't move up, 10, 15 feet away, something like that? Right? Okay. She's going to crumple up. You're going to shoot it with your left hand. Okay. You're going to have your eyes closed. Okay. All right, and you, Agnes, you're going to be moving this, okay? So remember where it is now, but she is moving that puppy around, okay? All right, so you guys, you ladies got your jobs down? You ready to go? Okay. Left-handed, eyes closed, moving basket. Okay, I'm going to get out of the way. Okay, and we'll give you 20 seconds, okay? Okay, yeah, very generous, I know. Okay, ready, go. Ooh, oh, so close. Oh. I know. I'm not making any friends. Oh, that was me. All right, okay, okay. Oh, close. Agnes, keep it moving. Whoa. Okay, all right, and we'll conclude there. Okay, the end. Oh, so close. All right. Okay, you can open your eyes. Okay, all right. So how did that make you feel? You had a crazy goal. Tell me about your goal. Okay. Okay. Then that was that heartwarming? It was heartwarming? Okay. Did you? Okay. All right. Did you feel like you could achieve your goal? Like try to get a lot of? No. Okay. What a good volunteer. How about that? Okay. All right. And yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, for the support team. Okay. So that I would say was an impossible goal. Would you all agree? It was impossible. Okay. So what happens to the employee or the volunteer who has an absolutely impossible goal they can't do? They get fired? Well, that's tough. If you're an employee, it's hard to get that. What else? You're a volunteer and you have an impossible goal. What? You're not really engaged? What else will you experience? Humiliation. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, how else does it make you feel? You stop being a volunteer there, and we don't want that, do we? As we talk about the engagement, we were talking about that this morning. What else? What else would it make you feel like? Mm-hmm.
It might make you feel guilty, actually. You may not know that it's truly impossible.
Okay, all right, that's true.
I've been in that situation in a project that, I felt really, really bad, and then I finally figured out that it was impossible, but I still felt bad.
Okay. Okay, and when you feel bad, that again, it does not going to make you want to feel like you're going to keep doing things or raise your hand for the next project or want to be a leader on that group or anything like that.
Oh. It's very discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
You still, I think, because we're volunteers and we take this so personally,
Mm-hmm.
you still take, you still internalize it somewhat. You still feel bad that, you couldn't find a way around this impossible,
Right, right. And you're volunteering because part of that is you feel good when you volunteer, right? I mean, it's a good feeling. What else?
Well, I was going to say, so you had a helper, but then she actually wasn't really helping.
You mean moving the trash can was not helping? She was helping me out.
She was labeled a helper,
But it wasn't really a helper. So,
the incentives were different.
okay, so that's maybe somebody on the, pardon me? Her goals were different. Oh, that's good. Her goals were different.
Actually, her goals never stated. You could have helped to try to catch them, but you were just moving it.
Oh, I know. Okay. All right, we can go ahead and have a seat, and I will recycle all this paper that we've used. So, it's targeted response assessment for supporting humans. Targeted response assessment for supporting humans. So what does this exercise tell us about your volunteers and goals? What does it tell? What are the lessons that we pull out of this? Oops, someone's ringing. Yes.
That goals are important, but not just that you have a goal. That it has to be a specific type of goal in order to motivate people the way that you intend.
A+. Very good. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. We're going to go ahead and then we're talking about, so the conclusion is that goals are very important and they have to be specific, right? Okay. So if we talk about, how many people got to go to the reception last night and hear some of the speeches? Okay. So we heard what some of the leaders were saying there about what the university is doing, what alumni relations and development is doing. What were some of those key messages that we got, that we heard last night or either this morning at the speeches? Yep.
I love the one this morning with the Measurable goal, the 50+1.
Right. Right, and I was looking for material to integrate here, so I was like, good job. I was just loving those bar charts. Okay, what else? What else? What other messages did we hear? Yeah? Okay. Okay. More people involved. So there's ways to measure engagement, right? Like how many people are coming, but yet engagement is kind of an abstract word. I mean, it can be different things to different people. That can be a little tricky, right? Okay. What other messages did we hear either last night or this morning? Yeah?
We've made mistakes, but we're trying to get better.
Right. Okay. Okay. And something I heard too, President Zimmer last night was talking about, in recent years and even going forward, how we're really, looking at global expansion. He had talked about somebody that just came back from India, possibly opening up an office there within the next year or so. And, what that really struck me is, hey, that's a university goal, and I'm guessing in many different ways the volunteer groups are supporting that. I mean, that really struck me. And I think, I guess a question to ask you is, when you come to something like this, a volunteer caucus, why do you think they have leadership messages and speeches, and why do you think that that dialogue takes place?
With respect to our organizations, to be aligned with the university as a whole.
Absolutely. Absolutely, alignment. And that's a key part of the Cascading Goals. Okay, very good. Okay, so I think we covered what, some of the key messages and what it means for us. Really, what it means for us is alignment, okay? And alignment is the fundamental of Cascading Goals. And this is part of your handouts there. The main point here is that goals aren't created in a vacuum, right? Goals are usually attached. They're usually part of a planning process, and they're attached to something. They support something. And the university goals are really a foundation for what we as volunteers do, okay? We're here to support the university in many different ways, right? And so if we look at this as we've got university goals and then maybe goals for alumni relations and development, or maybe if you, do some of you in your roles support like law school, medical school, booth, right? So you care what those goals are for those entities. That drives down. But the key point is here is that you've got a hierarchy of goals and that the individual goals at the bottom are supportive of whatever is up above, okay? You see this in organizations too. Does anyone in their workplace have cascading goals? Okay. Can someone give me an example of what an organizational goal is for your workplace and then how your department might support it? Yeah.
We have one that we want to have a top 3 women's website. And so then when we break that down into individual goals, then we have folks that work on driving traffic to the website. So they have goals around traffic that contribute to being a #1 website.
Okay.
We have other people that have sales goals around making it a bigger website around the revenue that comes in.
Okay.
They both flow up to ranking the overall site.
Okay, it all flows up. And so the employees all know about the broader goal in the broader picture.
Post them and you post performance against those goals,
Mm-hmm.
against competitors.
Okay, all right. So in your volunteer groups, how, throughout the year, I mean, you have events like this where you come together and you get information. How else throughout the year do you get information about what's going on with the university or the entity that you're supporting? How does that information flow to you so that you can use it in goals? Is it magazines, websites, conversations?
Yeah, I would say all of that.
Okay,
The social media, email, alumni magazine, so we get it from a lot of.
okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask, John members on the Alumni Board of Governors, do you feel that our goals are conveyed to those mediums, or are you just informed about what's going on? I would say it's more informative, yes. That's actually something I'm concerned about, because I think we push a lot of information out, but we don't necessarily connect that information to the university goals, the 50+1 goal, so. So yeah, I mean, and I'm from both the college and youth, so sometimes it's, either conflicting or doesn't really integrate seamlessly.
Okay, that's good.
I
Mhm.
would give as an example,
Okay.
I'm a member of the Alumni Schools Committee, and I have no idea what the goals of the admissions office are in terms of what are they looking for in candidates, other than the fact that they want smart, good kids.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
is it different this year than it was last year? Is
Mhm.
it different, like, are they looking for specific kinds of kids?
Mhm.
Are they looking for, and I don't know if that is always conveyed to all of the volunteers who are participating in the, nor, I mean, and if this is part of the cascading goal thing, I
Mhm.
think there are a lot of opportunities to say,
Okay.
thanks so much for volunteering, here's a lot of things, and here's what's different. We're
Mhm.
looking for kids who have lots of extracurricular activities, or something like that.
Okay. So keeping you informed of what the goals are and then really kind of helping to translate what that means for you, it sounds like. Okay. All right. Yep.
Also at the same time, I guess sources external to the university that communicate to you, so you have media communicating rankings, what's going on in Hyde Park.
Okay.
But there's no evidence that that is in alignment with university goals.
Okay. So having some kind of a dialogue or being able to decipher that, I guess, to be able to see if there is alignment or not.
Right, or if there's like a PR office here, if they were more actively involved in those,
Mm-hmm.
that information, because that is not just broadcasted to the university, but to the general population.
Okay.
So in a sense, if you're having a external conversation about your alma mater, there's a perception that those are your goals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. Yep.
And I was just going to say, for me as a volunteer, the most helpful sort of goal transmission comes from staff who I work with, who can say, we're working with regional clubs and this is what the goals are.
Okay.
At the same time, I think it introduces, as identified this morning, talking to David and Laura, is changing staff, which I think is a good,
Mm-hmm.
good thing. Like, I think they're moving in our direction, that's all fine.
Right.
But I think depending on who you get and where they are in the process of sort of onboarding,
Okay. Yep.
there's a lack of clarity of the goals there.
Okay.
For me, more recently, people I've been working with recently, great. And it's like, no, these are the regional club goals, this is what we are going to do, and this is how we're going to get there. And
Okay.
it's so different than before.
Okay. And then, to your point of, with new staff members coming on board, I think that as a volunteer, and particularly if you're a leader of a volunteer group, it's also up to you to communicate what your needs are. In my leadership role, it's really important for me that I know, what the goals are and how that translates. So I think as you think about, kind of your orientation conversations you might have with somebody that's new, you could have a little checklist of what you really need, and that will really, I think, help you in your role as well. Okay? But it sounds like you guys are getting the concept here of cascading goals, and it sounds like the Board of Governors, Alumni Board of Governors, has goals, right? They have concrete goals, and always looking for ideas on how to communicate those, right? Okay, very good. Okay, so can I see a hands? Who's in a managerial or leadership role in volunteers? You're on a board, you head up a group. Okay, a lot of people. Okay, so this is just a little, this is a quote from Peter Drucker, and it talks about what your role is, a manager or a leader, in terms of communication and contribution. So a manager is responsible for the contribution that his or her component, so that's your alumni group, makes to the larger unit above and eventually to the enterprise. The manager's performance aims upward rather than downward. This means that the goals of each manager's job must be defined by the contribution he has to make to the success of the larger unit of which he is part. Okay, so that exemplifies the cascading. You're aiming up, you know what the target goals are, and you're aiming to support those. Okay? And then this is another quote, and it's about, it's an expert perspective, and it's about engaged employees. We talked about how engagement is really important. And this quote is talking about engaged staff members, but I think it's directly relatable to volunteers. Engaged employees are builders. They want to know the desired expectations for their roles so they can meet and exceed them. They're naturally curious about their company and their places in it. They perform at consistently high levels. They want to use their talents and strengths at work every day. They work with passion. They have a visceral connection to their employer, and they drive innovation and move the organization forward. Don't you see how that relates to volunteers? The more they know about the organization, the goals, the more engaged they're going to be. And we saw that in our trash exercise. The more clarity they had, the more someone felt good about that, right? They felt more engaged. They're much more apt to come, participate, and be innovative, okay? I think goals are a really good tool to help, whether it's employees or volunteers, help to transform an organization, okay? Without goals, you're doing busy work. You're doing day-to-day activities. But with goals, you really have the ability, you have the tools to be transformative. And all the messages that I'm hearing from our leaders is that we're an ambitious group and we're moving forward and we're making lots of change and they're all for the good. So why not be really open with what all those goals are, drive them down so everybody knows it so they can help to transform your alumni organization. This is the S.M.A.R.T acronym, S-M-A-R-T. You've got this on your handout here. So we've all had goals. People have goals. I want to run a marathon, or I want to lose weight, or whatever, right? We all have. Sometimes people have personal goals. Well, we have goals in the workplace, et cetera, and in volunteers. And in order to make those goals the most effective, it should be S.M.A.R.T. The S stands for specific. Okay, that's the specific, clear, and concise. That's the exam trash game over here. Tell me that the colored papers are bad to put in, and I won't put them in, right? If you tell me, I'll be much more apt to deliver what you want. And specific in that it's focused on results and deliverables. Okay. Does anyone ever, I'm a human resource person. I do a lot of consulting with my clients across campus, sometimes on performance issues. And I always try to get managers to be focused on results, be results oriented rather than effort. Oh, they worked so hard, da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well, how are the results? How's the outcome, right? And that's what goals are. Goals are focused on the outcome. Measurable, that's the M in SMART, and that's what Damon was talking about with the 50+1, right? Who before today was familiar with the 50+1 goal? Okay, well, that's for you on the board. That's a good, good feedback, right? To know that, that is, and I've heard that before. As I've talked to staff members and alumni relations and development, I have heard that before. But I think that'll be something that group can work on, is getting that out a little bit more. But that's certainly measurable, right? Do you, after you have events across the country, are you reporting participation numbers back to staff? How many of you do that? Report numbers back? Okay, all right. And names too, so that they can keep track of the 50+1, right? Okay, all right. What other measurables do you have in your volunteer work? How else can you measure your success besides event participant? Yep. Financial gifts? Okay.
So it's not only attendance, but also serving goal on the fundraising.
Okay. Let me ask you a question on that. Do volunteer groups get goals where we'd like for you to raise X number of dollars?
It's more the amount of people giving as opposed to a dollar amount. So
I see.
we would want 30 people to give as opposed to giving $300.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. What other measurables do you have as volunteers or volunteer leaders? Yeah?
I'm on a nonprofit board also.
Okay.
We have, every fiscal year, we have our own plan.
Okay.
It's a menu almost, so it's how many people you invite to events, there's a give and get
Okay.
thing, and it's very well defined, so.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it does make it very specific what my goals are for that year.
Okay.
And
this must help you too when it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And they're achievable because I set them myself.
Okay.
They're individualized goals for each board member.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes. Agnes.
For the Chicago Women's Alliance, for every program, we pass out an evaluation sheet.
Oh, okay.
We get immediate feedback on how people like the program, the food, the place where we met, etc.
Oh, great.
And lots of group comments.
Okay. All right. And so you track those, so you know. Okay. Oh, okay. Great. Yes.
Sorry, do you share the results or the summary of those results back with the University of Games office, or?
Well, we have our own liaison from the alumni office, and she attends. Okay. So she gets a copy of all the information. Excellent.
Okay. And you're.
Kind of like giving it on the time-specific piece.
Okay.
With us for the Leadership Giving Committee in Los Angeles, we struggled a little bit because everyone had all these people call and then try and get their more people in leadership giving, and until we actually stopped and broke it down into mini goals around key milestones.
Okay.
Say,
Oh, there you go.
within this time period, you're going to call X number of people from your list and make contact. So that became the goal, and the next goal was to call as many more people, and then eventually got to the actual giving piece. But until then, it was a little insurmountable, and people would come to each meeting saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to it, I didn't do it."
Okay. So how does the smaller goals that are broken down? How does that make people feel then?
I think it feels more achievable.
Yeah.
So it's something that is challenging people still.
And you can still do it, and then you have an opportunity too, if you're a leader there, to pat somebody on the back and say good job and do your recognition, right? Okay. Yeah.
I think of structural goals, like I think about sort of working with the alumni clubs and working with, there's a model that, the Alumni Association knows works,
Okay.
And not also because, like, for me, it's a very small city, and we're, just kind of getting started. It's not realistic to expect us to have a board like Chicago Club does now. But we can say that by next summer, we can have X number of people involved.
Okay.
We can start to create that.
Sure.
So I think moving towards sort of the ideal format,
Mm-hmm.
in some ways it becomes a goal. Again, a measurable goal. We're obviously not going to have a huge board with massive number of committees by the summer, but we might have people who are involved enough that they'll say, yeah, I'll be vice president.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right. All right. So we've talked about S.M.A. is the achievable. Okay, it's got to be attainable. And usually you go for something that's a little bit of a stretch, right? You don't want to just, take these little baby steps. It's a little bit out there, but it's achievable. It's doable. And also relevant to your group, relevant to the university, et cetera. And then we talked about the time specific. If you just have a goal of, I will improve such and such, it's probably not specific. You don't have a time frame. So you don't really know, you need to know there's an end and, be able to take stock on whether or not that you achieve things, okay? So this is the first one. We're going back under each of these. S for specific, broad. I'll make a positive impact on the alumni club in my area. Very, very broad. How in the world would you know if you achieve that? Make it more specific. I'll increase participation in the alumni club at events in my area by X% in 2012, okay? Measurable, I was making a stab at what I thought some of your measurable items might be, and then you hit on even more of those. So, do you track volunteer recruitment, right? Bring new folks in. Do you track retention, volunteer retention at all? Kind of, sort of. Okay. All right. That's another measurable I thought you guys might be used. And I think we have gotten through those. Okay. And then here's some tips for writing SMART goals. Start with an objective or an action verb. Increase, complete, attain. Define the quantity, cost, timeliness, quality. Don't mistake activities for goals. Okay, goals are something you're trying to achieve. Somehow you're trying to get something done. They typically are observable. There's an output or results. Usually, it makes sense to have 1, 2, 3 goals. Anything beyond that, it's really too much. You want to make sure that people are focused on a couple key things. Okay. And you can ask yourself, does the goal benefit the university or the alumni group or the committee? So let me ask, as we talk about writing these goals, do you engage your team members in writing goals on any of these volunteer groups? Do you ask them, do you go through any kind of a planning process where they're involved with writing their own goals? Does the board do that at all, or?
We go through for ABG specifically, when we identify our goals.
Okay.
Our individual task groups take those goals, and we have sub-goals under that.
Okay.
So we're following this within ourselves. Where I think we're working and learning is how to then connect those goals to the youth groups and regional
Okay.
clubs.
Okay. You know what I saw once in a corporation where I was there as a visitor, and I thought this was really interesting. All the employees, from the president on down, all had their goals posted right outside their office or their cube or their desk, and I thought that was really interesting. How neat. So write it out in the open. You know what the person is trying to, what they're charged with achieving. And it also, you may have a conversation about it. It prompts conversation all the time. I thought that was really interesting. Okay. Yeah? How do you do conflict resolution with some of these goals? So if they're competing goals, is that what you mean, or how so?
Oh, yeah. If they're competing goals.
Okay. I think, as the leader, I think that's something that a dialogue that you would facilitate as the leader. Because if and you would have the conversation of, okay, this is our overall goal, this is what we're all trying to achieve. How can we all have goals that support that without competing? And I'll give you an example. I mean, I know like for, because I worked in human resources with compensation plans, like with salespeople. You can't just give salespeople often a goal of reach X number of dollars because they're going to kill your margin, right? Because they're going to go out, especially if they're paid on commission, sell, and get those numbers up. So you actually have to have a goal that has two facets of it, where you're balancing, sales goals with also a margin. But I think with, to your point, I think with a leader has to facilitate that dialogue. Has anyone ever run into that, where there's competing goals? And how has that been rectified? How has that been worked through? Pardon me? You have to negotiate.
But at the end of the day, though, you have to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone knows that decision, and you go with it.
Okay.
They'll continue to compete and not cooperate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think there's also, if you
Mm-hmm.
For example, I work in the not-for-profit sector.
Okay.
And a lot of my organizations had goals that were based on a different economy.
Oh, okay.
So when the resources shrunk, we all had to go back to our goals and say, not all of these remain attainable with the resources at hand.
Right, okay.
Let's have a discussion on the hierarchy of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not necessarily eliminate, but understand that maybe the bottom two goals
Mm-hmm.
are for a future or if we get a windfall grant. But sort of understanding that there are some goals that necessity requires come first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, very good. Here's some more tips for writing SMART goals. The action verbs are on the side. Middle is how many, how much better, and then on the right is your timing. Here's some SMART goal examples. These aren't maybe as detailed as some goals can be, but it gives you an idea of what goals could be for a volunteer. I will obtain a leadership position in one volunteer organization by 12/31/2012. I'll become a mentor to 2 current students by a certain date. I'll implement the use of social media in my organization. So these are goals that you can have for yourself as a volunteer, okay? And I'm going to ask you to, we're going to break out in, if you could just work with small groups like 2 or 3, and I'm going to have you pick one of these goals, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and convert it into a SMART goal. Make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, okay? If you would, just working, and then we'll go around and we'll share those. Why don't you guys, we'll say if you're on this side of the room, you'll go with goal number 1, work on that. If you're kind of in this role, you guys work on goal number 2, okay? Middle area, you guys work on 3. You can work in small groups. If you're on the end here, why don't you work on 4? Okay? Convert it to a SMART goal. We're supposed to end at 12. I'll have them probably wrap up. I think we're supposed to end at 12, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right on time. I just want to make sure. So
Yeah.
I really like this.
Oh, did you? It's helpful. There's so much more. It's hard to cut it down because it's really like a 3 or 4 day work or 3 or 4 hour workshop.
Well, it's good too because they're so involved. This
Yeah.
is my first presentation.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you, Bridget. I appreciate it. Pardon me? Oh, the handouts? Yes, I do. You're very welcome. Hi, how are you?
I just want to make sure you know your session ends at like 12:05.
Yes, yeah, yep, yep. We're going to need to wrap up in just a couple minutes just because we have lunch, so just so you know. Oh, that's okay. We're going to need to wrap up in a couple minutes because we've got lunch, so just do the best you can and we'll wrap up in a couple minutes. Okay, we're going to go ahead. If I can have your attention. We're really tight on time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to ask a couple groups. Who was able to turn their goal into a SMART goal? I'm going to ask a couple people to share. Go ahead. Guys, We're tight on time, so we're going to do a wrap up here quickly. I'm going to ask a couple groups just to share their SMART goal, okay? You did number 4, okay? Wait, hold on just a second. Can I ask you guys to wrap up? We're gonna start sharing here with the larger group, okay? Okay.
So we have 4. We have maintained full volunteer participation for all 2011, 2012 events.
Okay. All right. So you had a quantity in there, right? 100%. You had time.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Who else wants to join? Who did number 1? Anyone do goal number 1? No. Who did goal number 2? Okay. What'd you do for number 2?
I will identify and work with a member of the local alumni club on a project by end of year.
Excellent. Okay. So it was very specific, and you had a time. Okay. Who worked on number 3? Yep.
So mine was to work with university staff to set targets for future reunions based on a past experience.
Okay. Okay, so you definitely made that more specific. Okay, how about number 4? Who worked on goal number 4? Does anyone have it close to being ready? Yep. Okay, well, tell me what your goal was.
This is for the Business Book Roundtable, and it is by the end of Q1 2012, we will attract a total of 6 volunteers for a total of 10, some of which to fill specific roles.
Okay.
And all to be engaged in developing a long-term strategic plan.
Excellent. Okay, bravo. Innovative. Number 5, they created their own. Okay. Number 4, we just need someone to share one idea on number 4. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Anybody have anything else on number 4 to share with us? No? Okay. So you guys have the basics here, SMART goals, cascading goals. We didn't talk much about metrics. We didn't get into that, but that's your measurement, and that's your tracking. Okay? So hopefully you will be able to use this and communicate the goals of the university, the organization, and drive down goals into your groups. So thank you very much. Thank you.